Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Elevate with Erica. So, I just got home from an incredible few days in Scottsdale, Arizona. By the way, I did come home from all of that traveling with a little cold, big shocker. So, I'm hoping that I can get through this episode without coughing, especially without blowing my nose, but definitely without coughing. So, I earned a retreat for the top uh, 20 from our Make Wellness team to head out to Scottsdale, Arizona and be spoiled by our leaders in a huge, like VRBO 10-bedroom house. It was gorgeous. We hiked Camelback. We were just loved on, and I walked away with so much. I was surrounded by the most inspiring people that I know. And in one of the trainings, a question was asked that I haven't stopped thinking about since. And I wanted to bring that value here to you guys today because, while we were working in there to apply it to our business and the way we're showing up there, man, it applies to where we're showing up everywhere in our life. So the question is, when life squeezes you, what comes out? And I don't know about you, but that one made me pause because let's be honest, we all get squeezed, right? By pressure, by people, by responsibility, by life not going as planned. And what comes out in those moments, that's what's really inside of us, right? Not the image that we're projecting, not what we say we believe when everything's easy, not when we post what we post online, not like the quotes that we share of like how we kind of wish that we were, how our highest self believes that we are. Um, what comes out when we're tired and we're stretched thin and tested. That's who we really are in that moment. Like when someone's cutting you off in traffic, when plans suddenly change, um, when someone lets you down. Today, even my oldest son was texting me this morning to let me know that he like volunteered to play in a game tonight that adds like 2 hours of commuting to my day. So, how is mom responding in that? Is that the mom that's sharing on social media, like I'm raising my kids with kindness and patience, right? Or what's actually coming out when I'm really being challenged and tested like that, right? Because what's inside of you is going to pour into everything, into your career, into how you show up in your marriage, into how you're showing up with your kids, into how you're showing up as just a community member in every role, in every room that you walk into. Um, and if I'm being honest with you, for a long time, what came out of me wasn't pretty. So there was a season of my life where if you squeezed Erica, then insecurity came out. And that surprises a lot of people that have actually met me in person, I know, because a lot of people make assumptions about me that I am very confident. And I am in some areas of my life. However, there are some areas where definitely insecurity was coming out. And I don't know if it's like my 5'10" stature. People just see me walk into a room and they think, she must be sure of who she is. But that's not always the case. And there was a period of my life where I compared myself constantly to friends and coworkers and to other moms and to people on social media. And I'd see someone achieving something that I wanted, and I would start writing a story about why it was easier for them. Like, oh, they have more help, they have more resources, they have more confidence, they have more time, right? We all think we're busier than the next person. And I was making up these stories that let me off the hook, that kept me small, instead of asking, what is possible for me? When you're driven by insecurity, when when you're squeezed and insecurity comes out, you work hard, but you're never working from a place of peace. So you'll grind, but you'll always have that feeling that it's not enough. And even when you do accomplish something, you don't even let yourself enjoy it because you're already measuring it against someone else's success. And I know I just made someone feel touched right then because I know I'm not the only one that's ever felt that. Maybe you feel a little attacked right now, but that is okay, you guys. that version of me, she wasn't lazy or ungrateful. She was scared. Scared that maybe her best was never going to measure up. And then there was another season where if you had squeezed me, pain would have came out. And maybe you've been in this one too, when life squeezed hard. In the summer of 2023, if you're a frequent listener, then you already know the little bit that I'm going to share right now. I'm going to keep it short because I talk about it all the time and I probably always will because it was such a pivotal moment in my life. But starting in the summer of 2023 and the 12 months following, 12 plus months following, um, I faced a struggle in my marriage. I faced a problem with my kids, and I faced a strain on my finances, all within 12 months plus, give or take a month or two. And what came out at that time was not insecurity. It was pain. And pain can be a really powerful motivator, right? It's gonna push you to make changes. It's gonna push you to move forward. It's gonna push you to fight for something better. And in that season, I was determined to turn my pain into purpose. And I told myself, I am never going to feel that helpless again. Like, I am going to build this success wall around me so high that no one can ever hurt me again. And honestly, that fire served me for a while and it got me off the floor and back on my feet. So I'm not shaming any of these things that are coming out of you as you reflect back on the seasons of your life, but it's making us aware. And we'll get to why that's important too. So pain isn't meant to be your forever fuel because it burns fast. It'll get you moving, but it'll also wear you out. So when you're driven by pain, you start working to prove things instead of living to enjoy things. You hustle to outrun the hurt, but all that running doesn't heal it. And eventually I hit a wall and I realized that I was doing everything, saying yes to every opportunity, being everything, trying to fix everything now, and nothing was getting the best of me. And I was pouring from this empty cup and running on fumes and exhausted and not even sure what peace felt like anymore. And I was running off of that pain probably through at least the beginning part of this summer. And that's actually when I found myself. I don't know if I've shared this on here or not. That's actually when I found myself reaching out for therapy for the first time in my life, right? I was exhausted and everything felt really heavy. And it was a wake up call for me that something needed to change. At some point between beginning therapy at the beginning part of the summer and now, I decided to stop letting pain and insecurity steer the wheel. And I got still and I simplified and I started asking myself what actually matters to me. Success, yes, but also presence. Being with my family, not just around my family. Finding joy in little things again and building a life that feels full and not just busy. And now, when you squeeze Erica, confidence is starting to come out. Not the loud, showy kind that comes kind of also when you're driven by pain. It's kind of like, "Grr, I'm going to show you, right? Like you look like this, just like powerhouse of confidence." It's not that kind. This is like the quiet kind. I feel so at peace. It's the kind that says, I don't have to do everything. I just have to do the right things really well. And that confidence comes from knowing who I am in God's eyes, not who I am in someone else's comparison game. And it comes from learning that rest isn't weakness and that slowing down doesn't mean you're losing momentum. It means you're realigning. So I want to ask you guys, when life squeezes you, what comes out? Is it fear, frustration, control, doubt? Maybe it's belief, peace, patience, your faith. We all go through different seasons of these, right? We all go in and out of these. And none of this is about shame or trying to get it perfect. It's about awareness because awareness is power. And when you know what's really fueling you, you can decide if it's something that you want to keep running on. So I want you to think about this. And you gotta like put your ego aside. You gotta put aside all the quotes you're sharing on Instagram that explain who your highest self is, but not actually where you're acting from, right? I want you to ask yourself, what's your current engine running on right now? If someone squeezed you, if life squeezed you right now, what would come out? What emotion or story might be behind the choices that you're making? And if that source ran out, if that source of fuel ran out, if that person never apologized, if the pain fades, if the comparison disappears, would you still be standing strong? Because what we're after isn't temporary motivation, right? We're looking for lasting transformation. You can't always control what squeezes you, but you can control what comes out. So when we choose to fill ourselves with grace and gratitude and faith and peace, that's what overflows when life presses in. And that's why I don't care how cheesy it sounds. I stand behind a very short gratitude practice in the morning. Just, you don't even need a notebook and pen if you don't want to, but close your eyes and list 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for that day. And it's so important. It's not just like frou-frou, fun things that they sound good to say that you do in the morning. It's actually shifting you, right? And it's filling you with gratitude because that's going to overflow out of you when someone cuts you off in traffic on the way to work that morning. So if today feels heavy, if you're even in a season of pressure, maybe the squeeze isn't punishment, maybe it's preparation, right? Maybe God's trying to show you what's still inside you that needs healing and what's ready to pour out and bless others. So let's take that question into our week. When life squeezes you, and it will, what comes out? And if you don't like the answer, that's okay, because that means you're aware and you get to start rewriting it starting right now. So, if this message hit home for you, I'd love for you to share it in your stories and tag me at Miss MS, at Miss underscore Erica underscore Renee, so I can see what part spoke to your heart. And if you're new here, I almost made it, y'all. If you're new here, Elevate with Erica is all about stepping into your power, growing through what you go through, and finding peace in your process. Until next episode, remember you were made to elevate. And even when life squeezes you, let it reveal what's ready to rise. Until next episode, friends.